Hello everyone and welcome back to a top level game of professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Zerg where we find ourselves on Data C. We're spawning here in the bottom left corner of the map and playing with the blue Zerg drones from South Korea. We have a previous world champion of StarCraft and his name is Dark. His opponent, likewise also from South Korea and likewise also a previous world champion of StarCraft 2. We are looking at ByuN's main command center. Now, I've heard that these two have recently played an amazing game during the most recent ESL Open Cup. I found the entire best of 5 series and then I realized one of the games is a little bit longer than the others. Okay, so I don't know who ends up winning this, but this is a very long game on Data C, and even though apparently ByuN is thinking of ending this game at like the 3-minute mark, I guess I just spoiled you. That's not gonna happen. Nope, I probably wouldn't be casting a game where it would end at the 3-minute mark anyways. Either way, yeah, apparently this game is amazing. So we're gonna find out together. If it's up to ByuN though, he wants to end this game right here, right now. Is Dark gonna find out about this proxy shenanigans? Well, the overlords are not headed in the right direction, so he's not gonna find out until a little while later. So let's see how much damage ByuN will be able to pull off with this, oh my god, with this early game shenanigans. What just happened? I guess someone was lagging, and then rather than hitting the escape key, Dark decided to just hit enter instead. Fair enough, just spamming his control groups, and I guess ByuN didn't want to feel left out, so he decided to go also, you know, with a couple of numbers right here after the game already resumed. You love to see it. Anyways, it's probably going to be some marine shenanigans, right? Yeah, makes the most sense. This overlord actually really needs to get on out of there. Yeah, he sees the barracks right now, as it apparently lifted up to free that one SCV. Decides to get on out of there. He knows at this point that it's likely going to be double barracks. Dark posts a couple of question marks in the chat. It's like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Didn't we agree that you wouldn't be doing this anymore? Apparently, ByuN did not agree to such a thing. Drones are pulled away from the mineral line right away. Let's see how much damage can be done, though. I don't think the bunker is going to go up. Okay, good control right there by Dark. He's going to chase all the way out here. That is a really deep chase right now. Yeah. Obviously, ByuN is known as Micro Jackson himself, right? So even though Dark is apparently shutting this down by pulling the boys, this is not only going to cost him a lot of mining time, he's also losing a pretty high amount of drones here so far. Honestly, if you go for a double proxy Rex and you get spotted like that, I think this is like the best case scenario for ByuN. Getting 5 drones here on top of also... It's hard to say, right? But on top of also like, what? Couple hundred minerals of worth... Yeah, lost mining time right there. Or a couple hundred minerals of potential lost mining time. There you go. Words. They have meaning, Loko. Anyways, ByuN is like, yo, bro. Why'd you scout with the Overlord like that? I don't speak Korean. Maybe someone in the comment section can tell us what these guys are talking about. Hold up, I'm gonna pull out my Google Translate. 1 sec. It never does a particularly good job, but I'm gonna try. Yeah, Google Translate can't figure it out. Maybe someone in the comment section can let us know. I just tried for like 30 seconds, but for some reason, they can't figure it out. Anyhow, in the meantime, on the other side of the map, ByuN is gonna follow this up with a command center as well as a factory. That CC is obviously gonna be rather late compared to what we normally see in the early game of TVZ. So this does mean that Dark, at the very least for the foreseeable future, now that all of this is abandoned, he's going to be able to drone up, right? He really doesn't need to be all too concerned. I expect him to go for a pretty quick third base as well. At the very least, he should. Taking the third base would be quite important, because otherwise he's actually going to run out of minerals to mine, right? Like, he needs to... I think for the foreseeable future, he'll probably be free to just make drones. So if you don't take a third base at a pretty early time, you're not really going to have a lot of potential here to mine additional minerals either, right? Because, well, you can only support up to 32 right here on minerals, and he's already pretty much there. So maybe he's going to go for some sort of 2-base shenanigans. He's only mined 100 gas, though. No link speed or anything along those lines just yet. Anyhow, the Marines, they're going to roam the map, hunting down potential overlords. I always like this little move. I mean, not when I play Zerg, that is, but I do like seeing it. Just, yeah. Covering the perimeter of the creep, killing a tumor. There you go. It's the little things, right, that separate the best players from the great players. So just a 2-1-1, it seems, as a follow-up right here from ByuN. But for now, he's going to be forced to go, I guess, for, yeah, maybe like a Banshee as a follow-up or something along those lines. But a bit of a messed up early game, right? Not really what you want to see, but obviously these guys are very flexible when it comes to their playstyle, just because they've played so many games over the years. So Dark right there sees the timing of the tech lab. He knows that it's likely just going to be Hellions for the time being. Did he also see the tech lab on the starport? No, he did not. So at the very least, he doesn't know that indeed it is going to be a Banshee follow-up. He still gets the cloaking upgrade, which I kind of like. It's a bit of an anti-timing in a way. Anyhow, Hellions are already available. Once again, mostly being used here to slow down creep, and I think that could get a tumor. Even positioning the Hellions in such a way that they could actually line up with the Queen too. Link speed is not done yet. It's just about to finish though. I think there should be plenty of Zerglings available. Yeah. Yeah. This worked in like 2010. Right? Like we used to see that, but I never see 4 Hellions really getting any damage done in a mineral line of the Zerg player. Like even if you get the perfect engagement and there's like, you know, absolutely no Lings available to deal any damage... still, like, it never really achieves much because the Queens will just pick them off and the drones just get spread, right? I mean, sometimes it happens, but it's extremely rare. And honestly, at this level, I don't really like seeing ByuN just throwing away a bunch of those Hellions like that. I guess he wanted to, that was a brilliant timing, by the way, on that link speed finishing up, right? Like, Dark was sitting at 100 gas there for quite a while. He's like, nope, don't need to start it up just yet. Give me a moment. Now is the time. And he finished it up at the perfect opportunity. Banshee does show up. Banshee cloaking is done at this point too, and, well, yeah. No Spore Crawler, so even though the link speed timing was really, really good, the Spore timing was not as clean. He needs another Spore over here in the natural too. That one didn't finish yet. Yep, so he's going to be able to go a little bit deeper. Okay, and this is now definitely justifying a lot of that early game aggression. He's now actually killed a pretty, yeah, formidable amount of drones. Not bad whatsoever. Second Banshee also showing up. Don't just YOLO it into the Queens, please. Okay. Sees the timing right there of the Baling Nest. Getting a good amount of drones, though. Not bad whatsoever, yeah. 17 workers at this point in the game after... Oh, Drud's used it on a drone. Really? Alright, anyways. That's a lot of workers here. Okay, the Banshee does get picked off, too, but that's a lot of workers. Considering the early game. Anyways, ByuN has thrown away the Hellions. He's thrown away the Banshees. Because apparently this is now the age of the Marine. There's one siege tank inside of one of those medevacs. Stimpak is done. +1 infantry and combat shields are definitely not going to be finished here anytime soon. Judging though by the creep spread, it's going to be very difficult for the Terran player to march onto the creep and get some proper damage in. It's going to take him a couple of scans. I mean, I think so anyways. He doesn't need to, obviously, but he doesn't really know exactly where that Zerg army is located. Okay, there's another scan. That was a juicy one as well. ByuN. He decides to step his foot on the gas. Ooh. Whoa, look at that superhero death! Sorry, I know there's a battle going on, but... as the cameraman and the one-man production team, I had to show you that superhero death right there, okay? That's the way to do it. You know what I learned recently? Maybe I should tell you, actually, after this. Because... ByuN is going for a bit of an elevator play right here into the main base of his opponent. Siege tank is actually incredibly well protected over there. Really nice. And even though this is a quick Baling speed opener, Dark has not finished the upgrade yet. Yeah, Queens need to step to the front, okay? Lynx will join in. I think the medevac, okay, yeah, it needs to get on out of there if it wants to survive. So, eventually, it looks like the Zerg is going to be able to deflect this. Alright, you know what I found out recently? When it comes to the Team Liquid map contest, right? So the map contests that get held in StarCraft 2 to determine what the future map pools and tournaments and ladder and whatnot are going to be like. I found out, apparently, that the maps that have underwater physics, like, for example, Data Sea, apparently they get an abnormal amount of votes simply because of the fact that they have underwater physics. So whenever you see units floating to the surface, I actually quite like seeing it. It's pretty cool. But apparently those maps do incredibly well in the map contest just because... it's a little bit different than what we normally see, even though this really doesn't feel like an underwater map to me. I mean, I guess it could be, right? But also the name Data Sea doesn't really give me, you know, aquarium vibes, if that makes any sense. Is that a word? Aquarium vibes? I guess it is now. I guess there are, you know, crabs walking around. Maybe it is an underwater map. Yeah, I guess it is. There's like fish going around too. It's just the name. Is this... if this map was called Abyssal Reef, I guess there is a lot of... yeah... interesting. I've never really paid attention to it. This just kind of... yeah, I guess it is all underwater plants too. For some reason, this map really never struck me as an underwater map. I think it's mostly due to the fact that it's called Data C. This kind of sounds like an Excel spreadsheet to me, okay? And I don't know about you, but I don't never do Excel spreadsheets underwater. What is the map name? Like, what's the map name anyways? What does Data C refer to? Oh, free siege tank in the middle of the map. I don't think that's what it refers to. Hydroling Bane right here from Dark. 4th Command Center is going to finish up here very soon as well for ByuN. Obviously casted that awesome game between Dark and Maru yesterday. Right, in case you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and post a link to it down below in the description of this one. That was a bit of a banger where... Hello? What are these drones doing here? That was a bit of a banger where Dark decided to go for Swarm Host against Maru on this exact same map. This time around, though, he's playing a completely different unit composition, and I think it's because he's playing against ByuN. ByuN generally not nearly as passive as Maru, but on top of that, obviously, this is a bio-based game where the Terran player is going for an infantry army, whereas, of course, we saw Maru in that game going for a mech-based force. So, even though it's the same map and the same matchup, it is very different. Okay, if we have a moment, I would like to... Data C. Is there a reference to anything? The first results I literally get is from a Dutch data center called Data C. So what is Data C? There must be some sort of reference here, right? It's made by Killer Smile. It's at the bottom of the ocean under the sea. The main and the natural are exposed to air harass, but the initial 4 bases are easy to secure, blah, blah, blah. No reference as to why this map is called Data C. I would like to know. Or I would like to know your theory. If we can't find out what the official reasoning is, please let me know your best theory down below in the comment section. Data C is not a good underwater map name. Sorry. Hate to point it out, but... Now, I just said that ByuN definitely likes to be on the more active end of things. But this is a map where turtling seems to be the go-to option. And we already kind of have that happening here as well for our Terran player. So he has a big bio army roaming the map. But he is going for that transition towards a slower force right now. So there is the Ghost Academy. Check. Very important part. There are the additional command centers. Check. Another very important part of the late game Terran versus Zerg. And of course he secured the first 4 bases on his side of the map. For Terran, generally speaking on this map, it seems that the 5th base and the 6th base are rather difficult to secure. Because where do you take them, right? Like, what is your go-to option? Like, the first 4 bases? Sure. Do you go all the way down here? That's kind of far out there. Do you go all the way up there? Also kind of hard. You'd have to control this area and this area right over here to properly be able to take that expansion. Or you can just fly it over there and cross your fingers and hope the planetary fortress finishes. Generally, actually, that seems to be what the option is that Terran players like to go for, but... I wouldn't be surprised if Zerg is going to send a rather big army towards that 5th base location here very shortly. Good denying, though, of these expansions. I mean, it doesn't show right here because they weren't expansion kills, they were cancels. Yep. Command Center is going to have to make the fly of shame all the way back. Alright. Dark, of course, also maxed out. He can start working on whatever he likes. So, what does he like in this particular case? Well, apparently, first off, a bunch of spine crawlers. Fair enough. Secondly, I believe I saw Lurker Tech. Yes, Lurker Tech is available right now. He should definitely get the upgrades as well for the Lurkers here in a second, but he'll probably opt to do so in a second. Alright, he also does go for the double spire. So, cheeky little Brute Lord transition will probably be in the cards for this game as well. Zerg players do seem a little bit lost right now as to where they should take the game in the late game. So this 5th base, by the way, is going up right now. Would love to see the planetary fortress start up. I think he needs it. No, he starts up a planetary over here instead. Okay. I'm actually a big fan of these, like, what do we call them? Like, zoning planetaries? So you never want to take a planetary fortress as your 3rd, right? Above, like, Platinum League. That just doesn't happen at this level of play. But usually, later on into the game, you'll have some command centers to spare. And turning one of them into a planetary, it's kind of like ByuN right here is playing, like, I don't know, SimCity. City Skylines, one of those like city planner games, where he still has like traffic lights going through. Like the hardest part of those games is traffic, right? Making sure you actually can, you know, move around in a late game. Anyways, Dark is taking care of that, or sorry, ByuN is taking care of that as well by planting planetaries in strategic positions and making sure that there's funnels here for all of those Zerg forces to go through. Double Spire gets spotted. Pathogen Lens upgrade. Also researching right now here for the Zerg. So ByuN can do whatever he... Or sorry, Dark can do whatever he likes here. He can go for Lurker play. He can go for Brute Lord play. I don't suspect him to go for an Ultra Cavern, although that is definitely also an option if he really wants to. That should be the 3rd factory, 4th factory, 5th factory going down right now for the Terran player, so... He started off with a bio-based army, then he's transitioned towards Ghosts and Marauders, and then as those Marines and Marauders die, he will transition towards more and more mechanical units instead. Alright, a couple of Ghosts do go down though. The tricky part about playing this style as Terran is just making it there. Right, so ultimately, Ghost Mech is amazing, but making it there is very hard. It seems that all the Terran players are in agreement right now that the late game is a little bit Terran favorite of Terran versus Zerg. So that's why they are taking that slower approach. They don't really care too much about what the Zerg player is doing out there. They don't really care too much about taking, you know, additional bases here. Obviously, ideally you do want to deny those, well, further out expansions, but as long as you can get to your ultimate Death Ball, the game is pretty good. And the Death Ball right now, Ghosts, Siege Tanks, Thors, and then Blue Flame Hellbats. The Blue Flame Hellbats are a relatively new addition to this army composition. I absolutely love it. It's great against the Zerglings, the Banelings, the Brutelings, all the small Zerg units. And best of all, it only takes minerals, right? So you do run out of gas with this unit composition. And yeah, Hellions and Hellbats only cause minerals, which is really, really nice in the late game. All right. Not really much of an opportunity here for Dark to just swarm in. At least not through those outer flanks because of that beautiful Sim City and those zoning planetaries, I suppose. There's another one. Look at that. Not really an opportunity for Dark to go in, so he decides to, well, go for a Nidus Worm. So I did see the Nidus network going up, but look at this. There's like a half moon, like a concave of missile turrets set up right now inside of the main base of the Terran player, a ring of turrets. It's what we used to see in StarCraft 1. Apparently, it's also now officially made its way to StarCraft 2. This is just to prevent a Nidus Worm from going up there. So there's going to be a Nidus. There's a Thor drop happening here as well. Okay. Thor drops actually are kind of tricky to take out. In the meantime, by the way, while this fight is happening, there's also a tactical nuke coming up. Is there enough for the Zerg to push this back? Looks like the, yeah, single siege tank there, or sorry, single Thor will go down because of the siege tanks gunning away at the friendlies. Alright, that's not gonna happen. That's still good effort though. A lot of snipes going down. Careful, you do not want to lose those ghosts. Can't believe he stopped running there for a second. Yeah. Probably lost a little bit more there on that ghost army than he ultimately wanted to, but the expansion here will go down. Zerg in the meantime still protecting the base over here. So in a split map scenario, right, if you can mine one additional base, there's a tactical nuke flying across the map. If you can mine one additional base over your opponent that's supposed to be your opponent's expansion, that is absolutely huge, right? Even though Zerg can't really trade super efficiently in the late game, it will still allow them to overwhelm the Terran army as the game progresses. But mining out those bases is critical. Alright. So apparently the route that Dark is going to go for is Brute Lords. Fair enough. Let's see. The majority of the games I've casted of late game TVZ lately, at least like over the last, I want to say like 3 to 4 months or so, I think like 80% of them have gone in favor of Terrans. Most of the mid to early game matches seem to be won by Zerg, but whenever Terrans get to this point, they seem to be very happy with themselves, okay? Like, this is ByuN in his comfort zone. He is relaxed, well, as relaxed as you can be while playing at, like, what, 400 actions per minute? You know, he's feeling it right now, okay? I found that the Zerg players, also by talking to a lot of Zerg players at this point, the Zerg players are kind of sitting with their hands in their hair. They're like, what the fuck do I even build, right? What is the army composition that I even go for? Because the ghosts counter my brutes, they counter my lurkers, they counter my ultras, they counter my infestors, they counter my vipers, they counter my... Like, the freaking ghosts counter all of the things, right? And it seems that Zergs are not entirely in agreement as to what you should be building. So apparently Dark right now is going for a pretty heavy infestor, viper, like brute lord unit composition with a lot of spore crawlers too. Which is kind of funny because this reminds me a bit of Zerg versus Protoss late game. The double spire here is allowing Dark to go for double upgrades as well. Those are very expensive upgrades, but he's getting there. Anyways, let's see. Okay. Very nice. A lot of people, by the way, immediately throw these sort of games to balance as well, which I strongly disagree with. We still see a lot of development in this late game. Like, these are some of the most technical and hardest games of StarCraft 2 to play. A lot of people are going to say that, you know, the Ghost is going to be way too strong, which maybe it is, maybe it's not, I don't know. But the thing is, this matchup is still developing, right? Things are still moving. And because of that, I think it's definitely not, you know, that important to discuss balance right away. A lot of people would just, you know, be very quick to jump to balance, and I've been there in the past too. But, yeah, there's still a lot of moves being made in these matchups. So maybe in a half-year time we can discuss balance, but at this point, Zerg players are still trying out a variety of things. Apparently, mass static defense is one of them. Interesting. Maybe it's to prevent those ghosts from running through. How many spores are we at? 36 spore crawlers. That is a lot. Like 36 spore crawlers, but no flyer units, right? Like there's no flying units other than a bunch of medevacs, which is kind of ironic. I guess it's providing a lot of value here. Oh, very nicely done right there. Fungal growth into abduction, into brute lords, into... Like, that was sick. Those Zerg players are very good when it comes to controlling those late game armies at this point too. And they're still getting better because they're forced to, like, you know, micro this so much. Dark using Nidus Worms as well to constantly reinforce his bases and to move units around a little bit quicker. I absolutely love watching Dark play. Like, this guy... It makes me wonder how many hands he's got. I know I've said that many times before about top-level StarCraft, but genuinely, like, that little sequence just now, fungal growth on the ghosts, abducts on the ghosts, and then, you know, cleaning them up with the brute lords, that little sequence alone is 3 control groups worth. Right? And it's easier said than done. If you've ever given it a try, it's very, very difficult. Anyways, triple Thor drop right now, going around the static defense. A couple Corruptors are available, though, and I'm a big fan of those. Yeah, that's going to make it impossible for those Thors to escape. Well, maybe if they would have gotten picked up, actually, they would have been able to get them out of there. Anyways. The Thors do get picked off. At the same time, there is a push on the left side of the map, too. ByuN really nicely maneuvering his army around. It's a strange unit composition, but it makes a lot of sense. Terran versus... Look, he even transfused that Infestor. Like, what? How? A lot of these moves are complete autopilot, right? And the only reason why they're autopilot is because they are mechanical skills that these guys have literally developed over the course of more than a decade. Like, these are the results of playing this game daily for a decade. And being very, very freaking good. You gotta be very confident in what you're doing. It's sick. Anyhow... Even though the Corruptors have been spotted, and even though we did see a nice group of a nice set of, what are they called, Spore Crawlers out in the battlefield too, there's still the potential to go into advanced ballistics here at the very least, so a transition towards Liberators is definitely an option right here for the Terran player. Brute Lords slowly wandering on over in this direction. Good fungal growths though. Yeah, good splits as well by the Terran. Now the Brutes are coming in from the side. These are soon to be maxed out Brute Lords. +3/+3 Brutes definitely do pack a punch. Yeah, these are going to be maxed out Brutelings as well. So Brute Lords are one of the few units in StarCraft 2 that benefit from about a gajillion different upgrades. So first off, the impact damage of when they throw the Bruteling, right? That is dictated by the attack. And then obviously their armor is also dictated, well, by the amount of armor upgrades that you've got. But then the Broodlings themselves also benefit from a different set of upgrades for the ground units instead. So Dark is, with whatever unit he's going to make in this game, he's going to be completely maxed out. Terran is a little bit behind in that department, but he is going into +2 flyer attacks here too. So if he wants to go for like a mass liberator transition or, you know, even battle cruisers, right? I'd be here for that. That is definitely an option for him too. ByuN at this point just getting whatever upgrades he likes. So already, look at the upgrades tab. It's taken up like what? 60% of my monitor right now? I wonder if it's possible to fill it all away, and that'd be funny. Anyways, there's quite a few upgrades that the Terran players have access to in particular. So the problem with Brute Lords usually is that they are rather slow, right? Oh, well. Good splits once again here. That was a little bit of panic. I do think that that trade was better for Dark, but ByuN made the best of a relatively bad situation there. The Brute Lords can't really be in multiple locations at once. Oh my god, okay, he's gonna go up to 23 Brutes here. That's a lot of Brute Lords. Could even split up the Brute Lords. That might be one way of doing this, actually. Anyways, the Brute Lords have a hard time being in one place at the right time. There's a big fungal growth once again, shutting down those ghosts. And that is another group of ghosts going down. 26 dead ghosts in this game so far, versus only 2 Brute Lords and 1 Infester. Those units have been incredibly cost efficient. At this point, though, there is a rather large Terran army inside of the main base of the Zerg, but I guess the same can be said here for the Zerg player. There's a rather large Zerg army inside of the base of the Terran. How exactly are they going to clean this up? Well, I think Zerg might be able to clean up all of these units with reinforcements, although that is a lot of Thors. Yeah, those Thors definitely hit a lot, right? They have good armor upgrades too, so they actually don't die very easily whatsoever. In the meantime, though, Zerg is absolutely swarming over this main base right here of the Terran player. Are there any Corruptors here in the mix? Not a whole lot. I guess the parasitic bombs right now from the Vipers can take care of these libs. Yeah, fungal growths here also dealing a little bit of supplemental damage. The Brutes just absolutely tearing everything apart. There's one Liberator pretending to be a Valkyrie, but not quite as good. Okay, here's some snipes going down. Very nicely done right there, and he once again backs off. Vipers also in a little bit of trouble. Good movement right there from ByuN, who's in the meantime killed the natural of the Zerg, and now he's also killed the Hive. This is where the Lurker Den is at, and where all the tech is located. At the same time, though, I think more of the production of ByuN is spread around the map. Yeah, he's going for some additional barracks right now in the top left-hand corner instead. The +3 armory actually is in a little bit of trouble here. Those Liberators, not having full upgrades yet, may very well prove to be a problem. Alright, so we've traded main bases. That is a lot of freaking Brutes, by the way. I guess that's the most Brutes you will have, because... Really? Okay, I was gonna say, there's no way that those Spires survive, but... Apparently the Spires did survive. If he sends a couple Overlords there to poop some creep, that would be very helpful. I guess he would need a lair for that, though. Does he have a lair? No, he doesn't have a lair. Alright, hard to say who really got the upper hand out of that exchange. Both players ended up losing a tremendous amount of their infrastructure. I'm inclined to say that Terran is probably the one that got out of that slightly ahead. Especially if he would kill these Spires. A new Lurker Den, though, has already come up. I guess he started that one before the Hive got destroyed, or before the lair at the very least got destroyed. Really? You've seen them, ByuN, come on! I think you need to get rid of those. That's gonna take the Zerg like another 5+ minutes to get rid of. Like if they have to rebuild the Greater Spire, that is. That takes a while. Anyways, these Brute Lords, they deal a lot of damage. Apparently, ByuN is smelling blood in the water right now. I love this little move here as well with the Libs. The Libs did not finish up their +3 upgrade, so that makes them a little bit weaker than you'd like them to be. Their air-to-air combat is usually not that great. Okay, a couple of Liberators do now end up getting neuraled as well, and they'll get picked off by the Hydralisks. If you have a group of, like, Brute Lords clumped up together like that, right? And you get the Liberators to shoot at it, it actually deals a lot of damage. But he really needs to restart the +3 attack. I don't know if he realizes at this point that it did not finish. But I think that's actually a very important part of this game. Another important part of this game is Dark not losing those Spires after they somehow, some way, mercifully, there you go. They did stay alive, is what I'm trying to say. I think he needs to poop some creep on there. Now, he did just finish up his second lair. He's gonna go for another Spire. He doesn't realize that those Spires survived. That's hilarious. Yeah, he's going Infestation Pit. He's assuming that those Spires died. I don't think he's going to find out either because they slowly bleed out when they don't have that creep to support them. Alright. Nice oversight right there by ByuN, actually. Paying attention to his upgrades, realizing what he's got and what he didn't get. Alright. 6 queens still available. Would like to see some transfuses over here. This is a sad set of Spires. Oh, no, he sees it! He sees it! So, if you give them some creep, you can slowly bring them back up to full HP. 16 health, but now it's 17. There we go. Those structures will survive. Alright. Brenda, Karen, and Margaret apparently decided to go deep off the creep. Not entirely sure why. A couple of Zerglings here checking as well to see if, well, indeed the entire main base was destroyed, and that turns out to be the case. 8 Corruptors are coming up. Have we even seen a single Lurker this game, by the way? No, he's had Lurker tech multiple times, but apparently not the... yeah, the unit itself. Okay. ByuN, really? ByuN is gonna take the 4th base of the Zerg. Okay, Dark now sees one of the refineries building. This is an important base, actually, man. Does he not have an additional command center to fly over there? Yeah, he's got one over here. Terran players get so taken away with the amount of orbitals and command centers and stuff that they built that they forget they can just fly one over there, too. This seems a little bit ambitious, ByuN. Oh my god. Well, that's a lot of Thors. That is a lot of Thors. He's sniping down as many of these ghosts as he can. Alright. 8 more Brute Lords. Okay. So, let's go over the dynamic between Thors and Brute Lords real quick. Once upon a time, Brute Lords effectively had 12 ranged. They got nerfed to 10 ranged. The air-to-air, or sorry, ground-to-air attack of Thors in their high-impact mode, which is the mode they're in right now, is 11. So, theoretically speaking, in the current patch of StarCraft 2, Thors outrange Brute Lords. However, I've seen a bunch of games recently, and I think it's mostly been like Raynor and Serral that's been doing that. I've seen a bunch of games recently where there are just simply so many little Brutelings on the ground that the Terran player just can't get a good engagement in because the Thors are just constantly derping around each other. So, even though, technically speaking, in like a wide open map, if you have like 13, you know, Thors going up against like 20 Brute Lords, the Thors would win. However, in these choky, you know, engagements that we see on these maps in StarCraft 2, the Thors may very well not be able to all fire at once, as the ones in the front are stuck behind a wall of Brutelings. He adds on more. Yeah, so that's what he's going for here. So he just added on more. He's going up to like... he's going 30 plus Brute Lords. 9 Infestors, 6 Vipers, 9 Queens, and a couple Corruptors. There's still some Vikings available, by the way, so that is something that, well, Dark needs to address somehow. A lot of Evolution Chambers here, too, just to provide some more energy for those Vipers. May have gotten a little bit carried away on these, but anyways. Terran just now secured that base, though, and this is a big one. If you look at the banks right now at this stage in the game, Dark does have more gas, which is honestly the more important resource, but I think ByuN should be able to gather some more of that over here, too. This is 30 plus Brute Lords. Pretending to be 1. This is how little baby Brute Lords get made, okay? In case you were wondering. It's actually very hard for the Terran player to see. Like, even if ByuN were to scan right now, he can't really tell. Is that 10 Brute Lords? Is that 20 Brute Lords? Is it 30? Like, you can't tell. Is that the reason why he's patrolling them back and forth? Probably. Maybe he's just having fun. Building a little Brute Lord flower over there in the middle of the map. Alright, more and more SCVs are getting sacrificed. Oh my god. Well, now he knows that there's more than 10, I can tell you that much. Yeah, the SCVs are being sacrificed to open up more supply for the Terran player to add on a bigger army. That is a lot of units. Oh, he's actually throwing... He's throwing Brutelings on the Brutelings. That is not something I've ever actually seen before in a game of StarCraft 2 at this level. So, in order for the Broodlings to be thrown... Look at that! He's microing them back and forth. In order for the Broodlings to be thrown, you need to have a target. Okay. I would really like to know what ByuN is saying here. ByuN is saying, yo, you try hard. Stop it. Anyways, you can kind of send the Broodlord train in that direction. Look at that! That is sweet. This is something that I've always thought was possible, but I've never really seen anyone execute it. So he's leaving a couple units behind here to just throw the Broodlings. Now, they don't have a lot of lifespan, so it's not like you can do it from a super long distance. But that is definitely one way to, yeah, force the Terran player to back off. Alright. Blue Flame Hellbats. Super important. ByuN is going to have to get a proper engagement in. And getting rid of those little Broodlings is going to be critical. The Queens, I guess, are going to be here to take care of the Vikings, and Infestors and Vipers can definitely get some work done too. Gases are running out here, but there's still some mineral fields to, yeah, to mine from. Alright, so this entire base, this entire map actually is soon going to be run out of resources, like entirely. There's a couple of minerals here and there, but really not a whole lot. This is going to come down to a clash between these two players. Look at that, man! I absolutely love what Dark is doing in these games. Like, also the one that we watched yesterday, assuming you watched yesterday's video. Dark is playing some fantastic StarCraft 2. Oh, is he gonna get the siege tank? Okay, now he really wants to. Using the Broodlings to spawn more Broodlings. Losing the Creep Tumor right there to spawn more Broodlings. Alright, well, I don't think you can go, ByuN. This is starting to upset ByuN a little bit, right? Because this puts him under a lot of pressure. It's important here for the Terran player to not get too carried away, yeah, because that's the problem. That is a lot of Broodlords, bro. Like, this is a good choke. Yeah, I guess if you have multiple chokes to go in from, it's pretty decent, but... that is so many Broodlords that I think you need an air army. Do you not need an air army to actually get rid of this? I don't know, a couple Blinding Clouds as well. Ruining the engagement right here for ByuN. Those Thors just got absolutely shut down, and even though ByuN got to his ultimate Terran Death Ball, is abusing the Broodlord AI and the terrain on the maps the answer? Because I don't think Dark lost anything in that fight just now. Yeah, he lost about 500 Broodlings. But guess what? Those don't cost him anything. That was an insane engagement. Look at that. 7,000 gas lost more right now for the Terran player. Terran is running out of gas. He's not going to win this game anytime soon at the current rate anyways. More Broodlord. That is one way to get rid of one missile turret. Takes a lot of effort though. Definitely not a particularly efficient way of doing it, but... as far as actions per minute goes, right? Like, it is a very efficient way of doing it as far as, like, you know, resources go, but... those are super dead SCVs. They just don't know it yet. Alright. So using the Spore Crawlers, the Broodlings, the Creep Tumors, whatever he can, to just spawn as many of those Broodlings as possible, and then to harass the Terran player. Yeah, you can see ByuN, like, the way he's maneuvering around his army. Normally, ByuN is a very confident player. At this point, he's like, what do I even do? And honestly, I do not know. So this is what I'm saying, right? Like, a lot of people will jump to conclusions when it comes to balance in video games in particular. But this is unexplored territory. And as long as there's unexplored territory in the late game, I think there's, yeah, a potential for the Zerg players to figure out how to do this. That's one way to effectively give the Broodlords, like, what? 13, 14, 15 range? Maybe even more. Alright, here we go once again. Massive EMPs do go down, but this choke point sucks. Blinding Cloud also shutting down a bunch of those Thors. Those Thors are not getting close. As the Hellbats fall, though, those Brutes are actually going to start working on the Thors themselves. Yeah. Oh, here we go again. This is sick. He's targeting his own spores. Is that what the spores were made for? to zone away the potential for Liberators, to make sure that the Ghost can't actually cloak and just run through this army. But also, I guess, to allow the Zerg player to throw the Broodlings. These are not fights you're winning, ByuN. Like, you're not achieving anything here. All you're achieving is losing resources. Zerg is not losing anything in these fights. Like, he's actually not losing anything. Terran is now completely out of gas. Oh, no. Yeah, he's forced to go into Hellbats right now on a lot of Marines. But last time I checked, a lot of Marines and Hellbats don't counter Brute Lords. ByuN is gonna have to pull a rabbit out of a hat right now. Oh my god, I've never seen this before. That's sick. I've seen it attempted before in the past, but never this efficiently at the very least. Alright. Dark needs to be careful, though, that he doesn't get overconfident here either, right? Look at, by the way, look at this was floating to the surface right here of Data C. My favorite, you know, data center. Anyways. Yeah, he does need to be careful. Backing off here seems to be the logical approach. He's got 7 more Infestors coming up. He keeps on throwing the Broodlings on his own creep tumors to try and slow down the advancement of this Terran army. That allows the reinforcements to show up, but also for those Infestors he already had to, once again, accumulate some energy. Oh, massive fungal growth. Once again, beautiful blinding clouds there as well from the Zerg player. Dark is pushing back this army, it seems. ByuN's supply count is absolutely plummeting right now. Dark has not really lost a lot of units over the last few minutes, has he? Like a little bit here and there, but not nearly as much as ByuN. Once again, huge fungal growths. Neuroparasites? Oh my god, neuroparasites! GG! Dark, with some amazing late-game Zerg, ends up dismantling ByuN over the course of about 41 minutes. Hey, if you made it all the way until the end of this video, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button. It really does help. Thank you very much.